Like I said, squirrels eat all types of nuts. If a tree makes nuts, and a squirrel will probably eat it. They'll eat pretty much anything, and it doesn't even have to be a tree like that. I've shot squirrels pretty much out of every tree, whether it's just them passing through or they're actually in there cutting up in there. But so they're all over the place. And when the leaves fall, or they start changing and then they fall, a lot of squirrels head to the ground because a lot of the nuts are starting to fall as well. So they get piled up underneath all these leaves, and squirrels stockpile their nuts that they find from the trees all year long. So that's what they're doing when they come down to the ground. They're searching for stuff. They're searching for more food. And when the leaves fall, that's when the squirrels are most of the time on the ground, because all the nuts are already fallen, getting ready to seed and sprout for the next spring. So they're going to get them before they get a chance to, so they can have something to eat. So when the leaves fall, look towards the ground, and that's a great time to take a 22. How I hunt squirrels is I make my way through the woods. I look for all these signs: the leaves, the nuts falling, the cutting of the nut on the outside, and also the squirrels themselves. They make their own noise. They bark at each other to warn each other for dangers, or just to get each other's attention. And it's like sounds kind of like sounds something like that. It's like kind of like that, and they're just barking at you. It's very distinguished, and sometimes some birds, they sound like it, but if you listen to it hard enough and you get a visual key on them, you can tell that that's a bird and not a squirrel. But when you're walking through there, they also, as we all know, they're in the trees, so they climb up the trees, and with their claws on the trees makes kind of a scraping sound when they're going up or if they're coming down. And you can pick up on that too. It's not a natural sound. So if you hear that, try looking around and see if you can see a squirrel coming down or going up. That's another indicator when you're walking through for any sign of squirrel. Like I said, I walk through and I'll stop probably about every 10 steps or so, and I'll just stop and hold off for probably about 10 seconds. Just listen, look around, try to see any movement, anything like that. Because a squirrel, you'll see it for like a split second and then you might not see it again. So any sign, like I said, the leaves, that's a split second sign, so you need to be on the lookout for it. But I'll walk like 10 steps and I'll pause for like 10 seconds, and then I'll walk a little more, pause another 10 seconds. And what I usually take, you can take a shotgun squirrel hunting, you can take 22s. In my opinion, 22s are my favorite because it's more of a challenge. But one thing you gotta realize with 22 is that bullet carries a long way. So I usually wait until I got a solid background, like they're coming down the tree, and I'm shooting into it, and I know the bullet's either gonna hit the tree, and it's not gonna go very far of that, or it's gonna get bedded into the tree. That's whenever I shoot up in the air with a 22. Other than that, I wait till they get to the ground. And squirrels move in trees, jumping from limb to limb to get to their spots, or they move along the ground. And when squirrels move from tree to tree, and they're transporting to maybe a food tree, a tree such as a shagbark hickory or something like that, they often take the same path. And if you wait there long enough and you see a squirrel go away, and you can sneak over to that path that he just took, he's going to come back before too long to get back to his nesting tree. So they take pretty much the same path to and from their food places. So that's another key tip for you guys. But whenever I stop, I usually stop by a piece of cover, a piece of concealment, like a tree. I'll stand next to a tree, and I have a 22, so it's good to be next to a tree to have something to lean on and rest your rifle on to get a clean shot at the squirrel you're trying to get. But those are some tips that I come across. A lot of people, sometimes they just sit down on a log. If you know there's a red oak or a white oak sitting right next to you, and you know that squirrel is going to be there within the day, you can sit down there and see how many squirrels come. They'll come to you if you're at a good spot where they just traffic through, or there's a food source right there. So you can sit down and wait for them as well. But squirrel hunting is a great beginning tool for the child hunter. I remember my first squirrel when I shot it. I was with my dad. I had a 410. I remember I shot it, and it was an amazing. It was my first thing that I ever harvested. And to me, as a kid, growing up in the outdoors, seeing how proud my dad was of me and how proud I was of myself, it just opened up the doors to me. So squirrel hunting is a great gateway to all the other types of hunting. You get your kid interested in the outdoors. And start him out with a 410 or a 20 gauge, something that he can manage easily. And the squirrels are kind of abundant in the area, so when you go out there, there's a good chance that you're going to be seeing something. And for that kid who's starting to get into hunting, he's going to have that excitement and maybe his first harvest. So therefore, it's a good stepping stone for all the other hunts in his life, and it's for him to lead the backwoodsman's way of life. So squirrel hunting is a great stepping stone, and it's a fun time, and it's a challenge. Even if you're an expert hunter, you think you're an expert hunter, it still is a challenge. Take a 22 out there, small target, small bullet. You know, it's fun, and they're good eating. And make sure you eat everything you harvest. You know, unless it's a varmint type of game. You know, then you can get them out there so that all the population of the game that you actually want to eat actually is edible. Then they're more abundant. So, hey, check this out. The rest of this video is whenever I went home and I harvested. I shot 2 squirrels whenever I went back home. Me and my fiance went out, and she got pretty tired. She didn't want to wake up again so early the next day, so I went out by myself the day after. But I ended up getting 2 squirrels. I'm going to show you guys how to skin them out and how to process them and how to prep them for cooking. So it's going to be a good time. You're going to learn a lot.